From the moment Bear Altmyer first stepped into organized football, his path was always going to be examined closely. Not because he asked for attention, but because expectation tends to follow certain names. Yet what defines Bear Altmyer's story is not the weight of expectation. It is how he learned to carry it without allowing it to shape his identity. His journey is not about entitlement, shortcuts, or guaranteed outcomes. It is about navigating complexity, absorbing lessons, and steadily becoming a more complete quarterback and professional in one of the most unforgiving positions in sports. Bear grew up in an environment where football was understood, respected, and never romanticized. It was not treated as fantasy or spectacle, but as preparation, discipline, and accountability. That upbringing mattered. It taught him early that talent opens doors, but consistency keeps them open. It taught him that every rep counts, even the ones no one sees. And it taught him that progress is earned quietly long before it is recognized publicly. As a young quarterback, Bear was never defined by flash alone. He showed composure, situational awareness, and an understanding of structure that coaches value deeply. He did not rely exclusively on improvisation. Instead, he demonstrated an ability to operate within an offense, manage tempo, protect the football, and make sound decisions under pressure. These traits may not dominate highlight reels, but they form the backbone of sustainable quarterback play. When Bear arrived at Boise State, he entered a program with a clear identity and a demanding standard. Boise State quarterbacks are not asked merely to throw passes. They are asked to command offenses, manage protections, diagnose defenses, and function as extensions of the coaching staff on the field. For a young quarterback, that responsibility is heavy. The learning curve is steep, and the margin for error is narrow. Rather than rushing the process, Bear leaned into it. He became a student of the game. Film study became routine. Meetings became opportunities to absorb nuance. He learned how defenses disguise coverage, how blitzes are timed, and how pre-snap communication can prevent post-snap chaos. His development was deliberate. It was quiet, but it was real. Inside the quarterback room, his approach earned respect. Coaches noticed his preparation. Teammates trusted his communication. He did not demand leadership. He built it through reliability and attention to detail. Even when his role was limited, his presence mattered. He was preparing not for immediate validation, but for long-term readiness. Still, college football rarely unfolds according to plan. Competition intensifies. Roster dynamics shift. Coaching philosophies change. For quarterbacks especially, opportunity can be fleeting and unpredictable. Bear faced moments where patience was tested and clarity was elusive. These moments force players to confront difficult questions about identity, purpose, and direction. For Bear Altmyer, adaptation became a defining trait. His decision to transfer was not an act of retreat, but a strategic step toward growth. Moving to Louisiana Tech meant entering a new environment, learning a new system, and rebuilding trust from the ground up. It required humility. It required resilience. It required the willingness to start again. At Louisiana Tech, Bear approached the transition with professionalism. He listened before speaking. He learned his teammates' tendencies. He adapted his communication style to fit a new locker room. Leadership, he understood, cannot be imported, it must be earned. Gradually, his voice carried weight, not because it was loud, but because it was informed and steady. On the field, his game reflected maturity. He managed situations rather than forcing outcomes. He understood when to take calculated risks and when to prioritize ball security. His decision-making was measured. His presence stabilized the offense. Coaches could trust him to execute game plans without unnecessary volatility. What stood out most during this phase was his emotional growth. Quarterbacks often define themselves by outcomes: wins, losses, touchdowns, interceptions. Bear learned to define himself by process. He understood that preparation does not guarantee success, but lack of preparation guarantees failure. That mindset insulated him from extremes and allowed him to remain consistent amid uncertainty. Eventually, his journey led him back to Boise State, a return that carried symbolic weight. Returning to a program after gaining external experience is not simple. It requires perspective. It demands accountability. It tests ego. Bear returned not as the same player who left, but as someone shaped by experience, adversity, and reflection. By this point, Bear Bachmeier had lived multiple chapters of the quarterback experience. He had competed, he had waited, he had transferred, he had rebuilt. Those experiences sharpened his understanding of the position beyond XS and OS. He understood locker room dynamics. He understood how quickly narratives can change. He understood the importance of staying ready without guarantees. In practice, his approach evolved. Every rep had intention. Every meeting had purpose. He understood that preparation is cumulative, that the smallest habits surface when pressure peaks. Younger players gravitated toward him, not because he sought authority, but because his experience offered clarity and stability. Technically, his game continued to refine. His footwork became more efficient. His pre-snap recognition improved. His timing sharpened. He learned how to manipulate protections and anticipate defensive movement. These are the details that separate quarterbacks who survive from quarterbacks who elevate those around them. Bear's leadership style is not performative. It is grounded. He communicates calmly. He takes responsibility. He holds himself accountable before holding others accountable. That authenticity resonates deeply inside football programs, where credibility is earned daily. What makes Bear Bachmeier's story compelling is not a singular defining performance. It is the accumulation of choices made under uncertainty, choosing preparation over frustration, choosing adaptability over resistance, choosing professionalism over impatience. In an era dominated by transfer headlines and instant gratification, Bear represents a different archetype, the steady builder, the quarterback who understands systems, the teammate who values cohesion, the competitor who recognizes that longevity depends on discipline, not noise. His football intelligence stands out because it is experiential rather than theoretical. He has lived the realities of competition. He has navigated ambiguity. He has learned how to reset mentally after setbacks. Those traits surface when drives stall, when momentum shifts, and when pressure intensifies. When adversity arrives, and it always does, Bear's response is measured. He processes. He communicates. He adjusts. That steadiness stabilizes offenses and reassures teammates. It is the kind of presence coaches trust in critical moments. Beyond football, Bear's journey reflects maturity. He understands the privilege of opportunity and the fragility of careers. That awareness shapes how he prepares and how he treats others. He carries himself with perspective, grounded, professional, and forward-looking. Bear Bachmeier's path reinforces an important truth. Development is not linear. Growth often requires detours. Perspective often requires distance. Leadership is often forged in uncertainty. His career is a reminder that progress cannot always be measured by immediate outcomes. As evaluations continue, Bear is often described with words like reliable, intelligent, and composed. He may never be the loudest name in a sport driven by spectacle, but within locker rooms and meeting rooms, his value is unmistakable. He represents the quarterbacks who keep teams functional when chaos threatens, the ones who make the right decision on third down, the ones who protect the football late in games, the ones who understand that winning often depends on discipline rather than flash. His story resonates beyond football. It speaks to anyone navigating competitive environments where roles shift and certainty is rare. It reinforces the idea that adaptability is strength, not weakness, and that professionalism compounds over time. Bear Bachmeier did not follow a straight path, and that is precisely what prepared him. Each chapter added depth. Each challenge sharpened perspective. Each reset strengthened resolve. He became not just a quarterback, but a professional, someone who approaches opportunity with responsibility and clarity. His journey is still unfolding. There are chapters yet to be written and moments yet to come. But what is already clear is this: Bear Bachmeier is prepared. Not because circumstances always favored him, but because he learned how to prepare regardless of circumstance. That is the mark of a quarterback who understands the game beyond the playbook. That is the mark of someone who stays ready. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on the continued journey of Bear Bachmeier, a story built on resilience, growth, and quiet professionalism. If you value football stories that honor patience, preparation, and perseverance, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Because the most meaningful journeys are not always the loudest, but they are always worth telling.